today is Levi Sears.
Wait, what's your answer to his question?
Bacon.
3 to 7.
3 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Today my speech is on ballad songs. Now, another way for ballad song is butterfly knife. I'm going to start with the anatomy of a butterfly knife. A butterfly knife obviously has 2 handles. This one is called the safe handle because it connects with the not sharp part of the blade. And this one is called the bite handle because it's connected to the sharp part of the blade. Now, on the blade, the sharp part is called the cutting edge, and the dull part is called the spine. Now, in the blade, between the blade and the handle where they connect, you can't see it, but there are what we call bearings. These are not ball bearings, but rather they are a metal cylinder inside each, which sits in between the blade and the rivets. And in between the flat of the blade and the flat of the handle are brass bushings on either side. You can't see them from here because they're so thin, but they are there. Now, this ballad song, or butterfly knife, only has 1, but normally a ballad song will have 3 of these pins. These pins stop the handle up here so the handle doesn't hit itself too hard, and on other ballad songs, there are also 2 pins and grooves in the handle that prevent the blade from being hit by the handles. So they sit, instead of very close together, they will sit at about this far apart. Now, these knives are most known for the tricks you can do with them. There are some basic tricks. There are actually a lot, but I'm going to do 3 or 4 of the most common ones that all the other tricks stem off of. Now, there are simple openings, which are like this and this. Normally, simple openings, you do the same motion to open and close the knife. But there are also tricks where the ballad song spins around your fingers, and there are 2 variations of this. The first one is the chaplain. The chaplain is when the blade is closed and it's spinning around your finger. A rollover is when the blade is open and spinning around your finger. Now, it's called a bite handle for a reason. You cannot hold the bite handle when you do a chaplain because you're going to cut your finger. But rollovers, since your finger is in between the 2 handles, you can hold either handle. Now, I'm going to move on to a wrist pass. A wrist pass is when you end a trick. Sometimes you are holding the bite handle, and when the knife comes down, before it hits your hand, you have to flick your wrist out of the way and transfer the momentum from to your fingers to away. This ends a lot of tricks and can also be a transfer, which goes in between one trick to another. Now, another trick that is common is an aerial. An aerial is any time you are not touching the ballad song. For example, I'm not going to do it, but if you toss the ballad song up and it's flying in the air and you are not touching it at any time, that is an aerial. It can be similar to rollovers, where it's very close to your hand. It can even be mistaken for a rollover. For example, this is a thumb rollover, and this, where it is not touching the thumb, is an aerial. There's not much difference, but it is 2 different tricks. Now, different tricks can be turned into combos. One combo is called behind the 8 ball. It uses different variations of tricks. Now, like I said, there's a trick called a chaplain, where the ballad song rolls around your finger. But there are actually 3 versions of this. Horizontal, where it is on top of your hand, like this. Vertical, where it is spinning here. And zero gravity, where you're fighting gravity while it's spinning around your finger. This is the same for rollovers, zero gravity, vertical, and horizontal. Now, I'm going to walk through the behind the 8 ball as an example of a trick. Now, when you start behind the 8 ball, I'm not going to do it, but I will show you. You open the balisong and start with a zero gravity chaplain, which you then transfer onto your thumb with a thumb chaplain, a horizontal thumb chaplain. Then you grab the knife in the palm of your hand and flick it around into a thumb rollover, which you then grab the bite handle and do a wrist pass to finish the trick. Now, some other tricks that are like this trick is the helix and blender. The blender is the same. You start with the bite handle, and instead of doing a zero gravity chaplain, you do a horizontal index rollover, and then the rest of the trick is the same. The helix is like starting in the middle of the trick, where you start with a zero gravity index rollover and then transfer to your thumb. Now, the history of this knife is confusing. The Philippines claim that they originated it for combat, and the Germans also claim that it originated from there. I would not pick this knife for combat because of how long it takes to open it. You can't open this very fast, but its anatomy would not make a very good weapon. The verse that I have is Psalm 144:1. Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Now, legend has it that this was used for combat at one point, but it is not my choice of weapon. I hope you learned something today from my speech.